Always do your best, no more, no less. Repeat after me. Always do your best, no more, no less. One more time for the cheap seats in the back. Always do your best.
No more.
No more, no less.
No more, no less. Hey guys, it's Painted Porch Strategies Book Club back with you again. We are talking about The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. My name is Sierra, and I'm joined with Amy and Rob. And today we're talking about the 4th agreement, which is always do your best. Now, when you just say always do your best, it's not quite enough information because we're going to follow up with no more, no less. What the heck am I talking about? Rob, what do you get when I say always do your best, no more, no less?
The no more part is really what stood out to me, because if you're a perfectionist, you tend to want to put more effort into something to make it better. But what he's saying is that that's fine unless it depletes your energy reserve. It depletes what you're able to accomplish, because then it doesn't mean you're going to be ready to be your best next time or the next day or on the next project, because you've taken so much of your precious energy resource and devoted it to this one thing to make it infinitesimally small, a tiny fraction improvement over what the best was. So it's really, to me, understanding yourself. Again, it gets back to this. Know your energy reserves, know what your effort is, know what's the best for that moment, and understanding your best is going to be different at all different points over the day and the week, because we have different moods. Some nights we sleep well, some nights we don't. Sometimes we have a couple of drinks, adult beverages. Sometimes that will impact what your best is. So you have to understand what your best is in all your different moods and all your different scenarios.
Yeah, it makes me think a lot, Sierra, of your program, Radical Mindfulness, and just learning how to, I'll say, get in touch with your, inner self. Insofar as when it comes to your energy, your mindset, how are you today? How are you showing up today? Because to Rob's point, sometimes, you have better days than others, but being very clear and honest with yourself about what does best look like to me today or in this situation, or even what's required of me in this situation. Going back to the perfectionism, that's something that I struggle with a lot. I have a lot of oughts. We talked about shoulds last time. I should over myself often of what I should be doing, how much I should be creating, how much I should be producing, how my house should be clean. And taking that time and spending all of that energy on forcing more than I am maybe able or capable of in any given time can just exhaust me even more and actually have the exact opposite effect, where I then procrastinate on it. I don't do it at all because I'm so overwhelmed by it. So I would say challenging yourself to always do whatever you can do to the best of your ability in that moment, but also not just, dialing it in for any given situation. Whatever you do it as best you can, not as best as you think it ought to be.
Yes. I think a key differentiator here is the word your. Always do your best.
Yeah.
So my best at a spreadsheet is different than Amy's best at a spreadsheet. Amy is far superior at spreadsheets. So for me to do my best, I have to understand A, myself, know where you are, and B, being present. The overarching theme of this is always do your best right now, no more, no less. So I need to also understand myself as far as what is the actual present moment of things, and then to do my best, what I'm able to do today. Doesn't mean you're not going to try. It just means you're going to do your best. This speaks a lot to the work-life balance or the work-life harmony of things. This speaks a lot to action, the action of doing and doing your best. It's not always thinking your best, always do your best. And it's interesting too, when we talk about the time reserves, there's a story in this book about a meditation student asking the master, okay, if I meditate for 4 hours a day, master, how long will it take me to achieve enlightenment? And the master says something like 10 years, right? And so the student says, oh, okay, 10 years. So how can I get there quicker? Master, if I meditate for 8 hours a day, how long will it take for me to get there? And he says 20 years. He says more. And the student can't believe it and says, but why if I put more effort in? And the teacher says, you're missing the point. You're going to wear yourself out. You're going to neglect your family and your other relationships. You're going to throw your balance way out, and you're not going to get the benefit. So, and also, as I've learned from other meditation teachers who have told a version of this story, is don't always ask, when are we going to get there? Don't be that kid in the back seat. Is just be present. Always do your best right now and just roll with it. Who knows how long it's going to take you to reach enlightenment? Who knows if you even can? I don't know. Just do, if you want to do it, do it. Do your best.
And what is enlightenment at the end of the day? Like, it's different for everybody. So that's what he's talking about, is it's your best. It's not your best compared to Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan's Michael Jordan. You're not going to be Michael Jordan. You're going to be you, right? So you can't be like, well, Michael Jordan won 6 NBA championships. I'm a failure. Okay. You're comparing apples to oranges, and you're setting yourself up for defeat, right? Instead of saying, okay, what did Michael Jordan do to win those championships? Because you could do those same things that he did if you were willing. So one of the stories goes about Michael Jordan is he lost in the Eastern Conference Finals one year to the Detroit Pistons, and they beat him up because they were a tough physical team. So he didn't take a day off. The day after he lost, at 5 o'clock in the morning, he was back in the gym, and he said to his trainer, I need to be tougher. So we need to come up with a program that makes me tougher so I can withstand the physicality of the Pistons. So he put the work in, put the effort in, and he would do 2-a-days all summer long, and he would shoot in between. The guy was completely dedicated. That's why he won 6 NBA championships. So then you get to determine, do you want to be that dedicated to something? And you don't have to be, but that's what it takes in order to be. That's the best for Michael Jordan. Maybe that's not the best for you, because sometimes doing less is more. Spending more time with less things is actually better. I'm learning that as I get older. It's take some stuff off my plate so I can spend more time on the plate that I want to eat off of.
To build excellence in those areas, as opposed to trying to be, a master of everything, which actually makes you a master of none, right? You if you spread yourself too thin, like you said at the beginning, and he talks about here, that if you try to do more, you're going to spend more energy than is necessary. But also on the flip side, if you do less, if you do less than your best, not less, less stuff, but less than your best with anything that you do, that's going to subject you to frustration, judgment, guilt, because you're comparing in many ways to how you should be. But set that should standard to you, right, Sierra, to your point. No more, no less. But ask yourself at any moment, am I showing up? Am I doing my best in what it is that I'm doing? Or am I, half-assing it?
Well, and it's interesting too. He brings us back to this Toltec idea that all of us are made of the same stuff as stars, right? We're all made of light, or we're all heavenly, right? So if you come from this place where everyone is already God, if you are God and everything is God, everything is all one, right? Then by you putting forth your best, you're really saying, I love you to God / the universe of every other living being. So by you showing up not against yourself, and you're showing up as a light reflecting light, not the smoke in between, and doing your best, then you are honoring God. You are honoring that light. So really it's like, okay, just be the light. Like just show up, do the best that you can, Don't exhaust yourself. Don't by, trying to be the brightest light that there is. Show up, shine your light, and then be done with it.
Yeah. But also honor yourself, right? That I think that's a big thing too, is that if you show up as your best, you're honoring and loving yourself as well, beyond, a God or some other entity, whatever you believe in. But I think that's the big thing. He also talks a lot here. Well, actually, I want to pause for a minute, because I think, Sarah, you talk a lot about in Radical Mindfulness about your energy tank and being realistic about that energy tank. That energy is not infinite, it's finite. There is a set amount. You get a set, account or pool of energy every single day, and being very realistic about how much energy something takes, how much energy you're willing or able to put into it, and making sure that you're not overloading or depleting too much of the energy or using energy in ineffective or inefficient ways. I think that that's really key.
I think one of the best ways is to do that is not identify what you want to be your best is. So let's take an example of you want to make a cake. All right, so you want to make a cake. What is the most important part? What's your most important priority of the cake? Is the priority that the cake look perfect? Or is the priority of the cake for it to taste really good? Or is the priority of the cake to have fun making the cake, right? So there's infinitely more ideas, but let's say there's 3. So now I need to pick which one is the most important, how it looks, what it tastes like, or the experience. And then go from there and do your best at what your priority is, right? Because you're probably not going to hit all 3 of those well, but pick your top and then aim for that being your best. Aim for that being your benchmark. And then you can just be present in your selection and you can't have a moving target. I want to make the best cake ever made in the whole entire world. Okay. The best cake made in the whole entire world probably took a week to make, because it's a whole process to make a gigantic, it's like it's overnight, it's special equipment, there's things. But set in your priority what it is that you want to be best at. And then that way you have something you're aiming at.
Yeah. Well, and I think even to build on that or to expand it more, one of the things that he does talk about here when he talks about doing your best is, why are you doing it? What's your motivation? And making sure that you're doing it because you love it, not for some external reward. And that makes me think about, one of our core principles here that the Stoics teach, and so therefore we teach on the porch, which is this idea of the dichotomy of control, and recognizing what is ultimately within your control and what they would refer to as an external. So a reward, I'm going to do this so that someone recognizes me, so that someone rewards me, so that I get a prize, so that someone buys what I'm selling, so that this person eats my cake. All of those are what the Stoics would call externals. Those are external rewards. You have very little to no control over those externals. And so when it comes to doing your best and focusing on, what is your best, it's being very mindful. And you talk about this a lot, Sierra, in Radical Mindfulness. You get into a lot of the dichotomy of control and how to practice it, but ultimately recognizing what within this is within my control, and am I doing my best for me versus for someone else.
Yes, and focusing on the things that you do have control over.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Exactly.
Like not comparing yourself to others.
Yes.
But going back to the Michael Jordan example.
Yeah.
If you're comparing yourself to Michael Jordan, you're gonna be like, why am I not Michael Jordan? Instead of saying, okay, I'm gonna learn from Michael Jordan, not to be Michael Jordan, to be me, to be a better version of me.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
To be the best version of me.
I'm a 5'5" woman. Like, why do I need to compare myself to a professional NBA player? I don't know how tall he is, but much taller than me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, all right. So fourth agreement, always do your best, add it on, no more, no less. So to recap where we are in the book, we have just gone through the fourth agreement. The first one, be impeccable with your word. The second, don't take anything personally. The third, don't make assumptions. And the fourth, always do your best. The author, Don Miguel Ruiz, claims that if you take on these 4 agreements with grace, knowing it's going to take time, nobody's perfect, if you take these on and make these your goal, you will lead a life full of inner peace and happiness. So when you come back and see us next week, we're going to read some of the ending sections of the book where he ties all these things together, where he gives us some more advice about how to do this, the 4 agreements. Until next time, try your best. No more, no less. Namaste.